Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu spells out Iranian nuclear concerns before the U.S. Congress. Prime Minister Netanyahu made his long-awaited appearance before Congress Tuesday to talk about Iran and the logic of holding negotiations about his nuclear program. Prime Minister Netanyahu said negotiations underway between the United States and Iran would guarantee that Iran gets nuclear weapons. Mr. Netanyahu stressed the danger a nuclear Iran poses to his country.
This deal has two major concessions. One, leaving Iran with a vast nuclear program. And two, lifting the restrictions on that program in about a decade. That's why this deal is so bad. It doesn't block Iran's path to the bomb. It paves Iran's path to the bomb.
President Obama says he did not watch Mr. Netanyahu's remarks, but read a transcript. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Mr. Obama dismissed the speech as nothing new and accused the Israeli leader of not offering a better alternative to negotiations.
The alternative that the Prime Minister offers is no deal, in which case Iran will immediately begin once again pursuing its nuclear program, accelerate its nuclear program, without us having any insight into what they're doing, and without constraint.
Mr. Obama refused to meet with Mr. Netanyahu in Washington, saying it was inappropriate to do so, given that the Israeli leader is facing a national election in 2 weeks. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry and Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif met for a second day in Switzerland to discuss the status of Tehran's nuclear program. Iran and the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council in Germany are working against a self-imposed March 31st deadline. This is VOA News. Western leaders have called for a strong reaction from the international community if the ceasefire accord reached in the Belarus capital Minsk last month in Ukraine is not observed. President Obama and leaders from France, Germany, Britain, Italy, and the head of the European Council, Donald Tusk, held a video conference Tuesday to discuss the developments in eastern Ukraine, as well as global security issues. Officials are reviewing the role that observers and peacekeepers will play in eastern Ukraine and the possibility of additional sanctions on Russia for supporting Ukrainian separatists. Russian anti-Kremlin activist Alexei Navalny says he believes fellow opposition leader Boris Nemtsov was killed either by members of the state security services or a pro-government organization acting on the orders of the political leadership of the country, including President Vladimir Putin. Navalny is serving a 15-day prison sentence for handing out leaflets promoting a protest and was not permitted to attend Nemtsov's funeral and burial in Moscow Tuesday. Chadian forces in the northeastern Nigerian town of Dikwa say they've recaptured the town from Boko Haram militants. The military reports that 34 soldiers were injured in the effort to liberate the town. The Associated Press reports hundreds of civilians in Dikwa in Borno State were killed while the militants had control of the town. Leaders from 3 West African countries hardest hit by Ebola are calling for more international aid to help them emerge from the devastating outbreak. Their plea was heard at an international conference in Brussels. Lisa Bryant has more.
Speaking Tuesday at the conference hosted by the European Union, Liberian President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf called for a massive financial response to Ebola, similar to the U.S. Marshall Plan that helped rebuild European economies after World War II.
We need to respond to the economic impact of the disease, to stabilize our economies, to return to the path of inclusive growth on which we had embarked before the virus hit.
UN experts say Ebola's spread has dropped by 10% since 6 months ago. Lisa Bryant for VOA News, Paris.
A Libyan security official says Islamic militants seized 2 oil fields Tuesday just ahead of more UN peace talks. Rebel fighters took over the Bahi and Mabruk fields after Libyan security forces guarding those fields retreated. An Iraqi coalition battled its way toward Tikrit for a third day Tuesday, facing Islamic State snipers and roadside bombs as it flanks the extremist group's strategic stronghold north of Baghdad. An estimated 30,000 fighters are pushing toward the rebel-held city. The Islamic State group claimed an American citizen launched a suicide attack against encroaching Iraqi forces. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.